Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you may know, my name is Maximilian Pück. I'm a certified meditation and mindfulness teacher and mental health optimization coach. And today I have a guest with me, Martin Verebes. I'm very happy he's here. He's a former sales manager and a very successful business consultant. And today I want to talk with him about climbing the career ladder, but at the same time taking care of mental health, because he has the opinion that for long-term business success you also need a good mental well-being and you need to take care of yourself. And he's made a lot of experiences in that area. So I'm very grateful that you're here today, Martin. Welcome to the podcast. And let's give it a go. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks for having me, Max. It's a pleasure. Indeed, I have a personal history of climbing the career ladder, which was to a degree leaning against the wrong wall, and I paid a high toll. The pressure on me being in sales was very high, and the only reward I would get in the company was more money, a nicer company car, but well-being wasn't really a subject. So as pressure builds over time, you develop bad habits. You start once in a while having bad food or having a glass of wine to wind down at night, which builds up over time. I remember not even 10 years ago, I had 10 or 12 kilos more than I have today. And I started looking in the mirror, feeling bad, feeling exhausted, running towards depression or burnout. And I decided to put a halt and go new directions.
That's amazing, because I can kind of relate to what you say, because when bad habits start to come into your life piece by piece, little by little, then sometimes they go a little unnoticed. It's like a little bit of fast food here, a little bit of fast food there. So I think it's very valuable to, if you notice that it's taking over a little bit, just put a halt there. So what did you do next? What did you find healthier alternatives, or did you just basically stop the bad habits, and were there any challenges in that path?
Well, it's not an overnight process, but first you have to come to the realization that there is a problem actually. And it was very clear I was exhausted even after sleeping. I had no energy, I was putting on weight. And as you said, we fool ourselves by talking about a balanced diet. If balanced diet consists in having a little bit of shit here and a little bit of shit there, this is not a balanced diet. It accumulates to a big pile of shit.
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing I notice with when people have a lot of stress and they have some work where they are thinking a lot, they spend a lot of time in their heads, and then sometimes the body can become a little bit out of balance. As you said, you can put on weight, etc. Maybe you experienced that as well. I'd be curious about that. That it's also very valuable to just feel good in one's own body, and not just spend the whole one's whole life in the head and kind of like ignore that you're not feeling that good in your body.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, you cannot separate the body from the mind. It's one entity. We also tend to separate the private life from the job, which is not a good idea, because at the end of the day, you are one single entity and you have several roles to fill. We are all an employee or a business owner, but we are also fathers, sons, brothers, friends to other people. We are teammates in our sports associations. We have a diversity of roles to fill, and you cannot just focus on one aspect and neglect the rest, because sooner or later it will translate to other parts of your life.
Great point.
The dramatic thing is, Max, someone said a while ago, most people die at 25, but they are buried at 75. So they spend 50 years of their life running around literally like zombies on autopilot. And I'm not talking about the positive definition of autopilot, which is to be in the flow, but on a negative autopilot, you get caught in a vortex. You have financial and personal commitments with your mortgage, your family sometimes. And it's hard to take a decision to put a halt to it and say, I'm going to New Zealand to breed pigs or sheep in a different part of the world, or go surfing and live in the cabin. You still have your mortgage to pay and all your invoices and your family to feed.
Yes, that's true. And I think it's such a great metaphor to say, many people die at 25, but they are buried at 75. And what would you say are some key things to do to not make that happen, to live a very fulfilled life, to feel very alive and happy, even into the 50s, 60s, until the end of your life?
I had an epiphany around 7 years ago. Actually, it's been a long process. I also returned to a business school in Switzerland in order to qualify for senior management jobs. And then we had a training with a coach who's a former ice hockey coach. His name is Martin Verebes. And he taught us to define your own personal mission and vision. This is what you need to do. And then you're able to focus on your mission, realize your vision, and say no to the rest.
Exactly. That's so valuable to be able to say no to the rest, because if you don't do that, then at every little decision you're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? It's like a little bit of a 50-50 situation. But when you know your mission and your vision, you have a lot of clarity, and you know pretty precisely what brings you closer to your mission and what doesn't, or you can imagine.
Clarity is the key,
yes.
Absolutely. Also, sometimes we tend not to say no because we don't want to hurt or offend somebody. So when I'm with my friends and they offer me a beer and I know I have training the next day, it's easier for me to say no if my mission is to be healthy.
Yes.
Because I know having some drinks the night before intense martial arts training is not a good idea. So it's easy for me to say no thanks, I'll have some water or tea please. And then I can enjoy my beer with them at some other opportunity when I can really relax. So it's about prioritizing, saying yes or even hell yes to what's important in life and say no to everything else.
I think you're making a great point there, that it's also valuable to have kind of a clear structure, that you know, okay, the next day I'm, for example, doing martial arts, etc. To be able to make these decisions where you don't drink the beer the night before, because of course there's this verbiage of going with the flow and being very spontaneous, but yeah, having that structure in your everyday life that is aligned with your mission and with your vision, it allows you to think a little bit more long term, like with your example here, and also you know pretty precisely when you can allow yourself some free time, and then you can enjoy it even more. And then it also has a natural ending, like when you know, okay, I do have some preparation to do for tomorrow, I do have a little bit of work left over. Then you can say, okay, my friends, I do have to do a little bit of work today, so I'm gonna say bye for now, but it was nice to spend the time with you. Because if you don't have that little bit of structure, then it can happen that I think it's called bleeding time happens, that you're spending longer with people than it was originally like planned, and then yes, of course it can be nice, but it can also mess up your other plans or your other things you have to do a little bit.
Yes, actually I'm not advocating to live a monk's life and say no to every pleasure in the world. It's just about getting the right priorities and not to get too much diverted from your mission. But that doesn't mean you should eat your cereals and your veggies every day and not indulge in a pizza once in a while. That's absolutely not the case. You can have fun. And talking about friends, your circle of friends should be supportive and understand and not be upset when you say no to something, but even support you in that direction. There's another great expression I've heard not so long ago, which is, if your circle of friends doesn't inspire you, then it's not a circle, it's a cage.
Yeah, it's funny. I've heard that saying too lately. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you confirm that?
Yes, I mean, I think it makes sense. I'm not sure if the friends really have to be inspirations, but they should be supportive to be good friends.
Yeah,
I think.
supportive is a good way to put it.
Yes.
I mean, to be inspirational doesn't mean you have to be a guru or a coach yourself. It just means living your mission, and this is not an active approach, but more a result. If you're true to your values, you're automatically inspiring others. You may also trigger the negative people, but that's unavoidable, and you should see it as positive feedback in a way.
Yes, that's true. And if your friends can inspire you, which I have to say is the case for me as well, then it's even better, because then it gives you it sparks your imagination of what might also be possible for yourself with what you're doing, because often you can see what others are doing in their area where they are highly successful, and you can even take learnings of that into your area, into what you're doing. So I think that's very beneficial.
Absolutely. Well, I was so thankful I had a chance to know Mark McGregor and get also some personal coaching for him, because it allowed me to align my values, and they are centered around performing at a high level in my job, but also in sports. So I started learning martial arts around 10 years ago, and I'm still practicing. I do some calisthenics as well. And another key takeaway is that many of the answers, or actually all answers, are within us. Other people, like a coach, can help you find this answer or unlock thought processes, but the answers are within. When I was a child, what made me happy is be outdoors in nature and move.
Yes.
And this is what I'm trying to replicate now as much as I can, even on a daily basis. Instead of going home after a tough day, I'd rather go outside, spend another 30 minutes or even 1 hour moving, breathing fresh air, trying to find a quiet place in the forest, if I can, and getting that energy back. Actually, Mark McGregor was always teaching about having paradigm shifts, these aha moments. And actually, you're not too tired to exercise. You are tired because you don't exercise. That's one of the key takeaways.
Yes, exactly. And exercise does set energy free. So, and also when you feel a little bit tired, the thing is that once you start exercising, more energy comes.
Yes.
So that's like a very good thing to keep in mind. And yeah, of course, it has a lot of health benefits. And what I also noticed, what you were saying is that you value performing high at work, but also performing high at martial arts, which reminded me of the saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Would you agree with that, or do these two values, these values, do they have separate reasons?
I think there's some truth in it. Maybe not for every single thing in your life, but at least for the things that you appreciate. Definitely, yes. You don't need to be good at your hobbies. You shouldn't put too much pressure on yourself to be a top performer everywhere, but you should definitely enjoy the process and embrace the student's mindset, the perpetual student's mindset. I'm still learning in my job, in sports, in any other activity which I enjoy, and I don't want to consider myself at the end of a process, but right in the middle.
Yes, there's never an end to learning, which is very beautiful. And even if you discover the kind of learning that you already had before, but if you keep the beginner's mind, you can receive it in a slightly different perspective, or you understand a learning in a new way. And yes, what I also noticed is that you were saying that you've been doing martial arts for a really long time now. I'm wondering, did it teach you something as well, or what is the fascination that it brings for you?
I think it's a very comprehensive sport. You get a lot of cardio, you need strength, you need balance and hand-eye coordination, which were really things I'm definitely not good at. Okay. But it enabled me to get better. Of course, in the beginning you might wonder, is it sensible to start something like this when you're over 40? The reason is yes, why not? Actually, I'll be 53 next week. I'm still able to practice, certainly not on a high level, but I can get in the ring and do a couple rounds. And it teaches you also resiliency, because when you go into sparring, well, I don't compete. I would not be approved, at least not in civilized countries at my age. But if I do some sparring, yeah, you get punched in the face. It hurts sometimes, but still you have to carry on and not just stop and start crying. But actually, it's not that bad. It hurts, okay, and then you just continue. And you got so much adrenaline, sometimes you don't even notice the pain.
That's great. I can imagine that it really gives you also a lot of mental strength also for work.
Absolutely, it's resiliency, it's the drive to carry on. You have to finish the round, it's 3 minutes. You don't want to give up and say, I'm out, I'm a technical knockout. It's also your ego come into play. It makes you pursue and go through till the end. And then, you don't need to win the round. Even the fact that you went through despite of the odds makes you very proud. That gives a lot of self-confidence, which can translate into other parts of your life. Again, we are one entity. You cannot separate the martial artist from the businessman or the friend or the hobby chef that I am. You have all these roles to fill in life, and everything translates into other segments.
That's true. And I'm wondering, now you've tried martial arts but also calisthenics, and I can imagine some listeners out there might think, okay, I think it's very valuable to just to have that drive and just to also step up when you've been falling down. But I don't necessarily want to be punched in the face in martial arts.
Well, you don't have to.
So that's what I wanted to ask. What alternatives have you encountered, or what kind of activities that gave you similar effects?
Actually, I think it's irrelevant what you do as long as you enjoy it. I found my happy place in martial arts. I did some calisthenics as well, especially during the pandemic. I took the opportunity to learn some body weight training, which I can also implement when I'm traveling on business. Nice. I'm in my hotel room. I don't have the opportunity to go to a gym. So at least I can do some push-ups and other exercises to stay in shape. Because if I don't practice for several days, it makes my business trip even tougher. And it makes it even more difficult to return to my normal practice when I'm back home. Therefore, it's quite useful to practice nearly every day, except your recovery days, of course. But again, if someone, as you said, doesn't want to get punched in the face, absolutely fine. You can play soccer, you can do yoga, you can do all kinds of things. It doesn't really matter. What I would like to add is, I said before, it's not because you're too tired to exercise, it's because you don't exercise that you're tired. Also, if you have back pain, you don't have too much back pain to exercise. Actually, you have back pain because you don't exercise. You need to build up some muscles in order to stay in shape. And that has a huge positive effect on everything else, like cutting weight, of course. I see so many people my age, I'll be 53 next week. I have people my age who say, I'm going to buy an SUV because the seating position is high and it's more comfortable. and I'm wondering, what the hell? I've slept in the back of my car, in my sleeping bag last night at a party. I have no back pain, just because I exercise a little bit.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I think that's such a gem. Also, what you said, not exercising on business trips makes the business trip harder.
Yes.
That's an amazing takeaway, because I can imagine, especially in a hotel room, let's say you're coming back from a meeting and it's like early evening and you're in the cozy light of a hotel room. I can imagine many people would appreciate just lie down on the bed.
Yeah.
But you say exercising makes the business trip easier, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense, simply because of the health benefits. Endorphins are released after the workout or even during the workout. But yeah, I think it's very valuable to keep that in mind, and yeah, to actually act according to that, instead of being falling for the pure comfort.
Yes.
You can still enjoy the comfort afterwards. That's the good
Absolutely.
thing.
Well, I mean, 10 years ago on a business trip, I would go to the restaurant, have a good meal, order a glass of wine, order a dessert, just to treat myself with some comfort, because life is so tough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's not a good decision, because it's either compensation or just a habit, a bad habit. But all these negative habits are the result of a compensation process, actually, because you think you need to treat yourself with some comfort because life's so tough. And actually, no. When you exercise, you think it's tough, but at the end of the day, you feel so great. You're even thankful that you've done it.
Yes. And you just feel better when you're walking around, especially if you've been doing it for a while, and you know that you build a decent amount of muscles, and it just gives you more energy. Like doing things in everyday life just feels easier. And yes, you also said that it's important to do what you love to do. And I think it's interesting to bring that into relation with what you said also, that you've been at a time where you treated yourself with some kind of desserts and etc., which of course is totally fine, but you did it to like compensate for the toughness of life or the toughness of work. And I thought that maybe an alternative for that kind of compensation would be to just do more of what you love to do, or of course do the work you have to do in a way you love to do. And I'm curious, did you find some ways to do that, or how has that played out in your life?
I have actually realized more than ever, but again, I knew it deep inside, I just wasn't aware of it. In business, you say it's about the 3 P's: people, product, and process. And we are too focused on products and on process, even more on processes these days. We forget about the people. If you don't have people with the right mindset, the right attitude, and people who have values, which are aligned with the company's values, there is no success in business. This is where you need to start from. And it doesn't matter whether you're making some industrial products, like the area I'm working in most of the time, or you're a graphic designer, or you're in IT, or in services, or even as a meditation teacher. This is irrelevant. You need to love what you do and create some alignment with your values that translates to your audience.
That's great. I think that's also such a key takeaway, to do something that aligns with your values. What was there a specific process to it for you to discover your values, or how did you do that, or how can people in the audience find out about their values?
Well, I went to the coaching sessions with Mark McGregor, and he has a unique gift of seeing people's potential. In his younger years, he was coaching ice hockey teams, so he could see the young players' strengths and build upon them. He did the same with me, and his approach is to do the same with business owners and corporate managers, to transform them from managers into leaders. And leadership, as he likes to say, is not a title, it's a choice. It's about living your life with intention and taking the leadership, even rather than just being a victim pushed around by life.
That's so great that leadership is a choice. Yes, I think that's really important to take agency over your life. And I think in personal development, there's this saying that you have like 100% responsibility over your life, which I think, if you think about it, can be very empowering. That you're doing probably more things by free choice than you're thinking you're doing. For example, you chose your job, maybe even your friends, your free time activities, and yeah, to take responsibility over where you're going, your values, and to be the creator of your life in that way.
Absolutely. But some people today tend to give you too much agency and just say, if it happened to you, then you deserved it. And then, as an example, someone gets bullied in school or at work. Some psychologists today would say, oh, you let it happen, which I have a big problem with, because when there is bullying involved, there's always an imbalance of power between the perpetrator and the victim. So you cannot just blame the victim for her condition, but you need to empower the victim to strike back or just leave the place and not fall into this position for many years until she develops depression or becomes suicidal, because it can lead to extremes sometimes. It's definitely about empowering people. So yes, it's about aligning with your values, developing some routines, the right nutrition, the right exercise. It's one package. And I like to compare it to a car. We all love cars as German men. So if you have a great car and you have 3 excellent tires and 1 tire is bad, can you drive to the mall or the next garage? Yeah, you can. Can you win a race with that car? No way. So all 4 wheels must be in pristine conditions. All 4 tires must be perfect.
Yes.
And it's the same in life. You have pillars like nutrition, exercise, and all these good things. You cannot neglect one, because it will automatically reflect on the other pillars, and the whole pyramid will collapse.
That's very true. All these little pillars have such a big impact, or even just nutrition, I think. And yeah, it actually makes me curious. Of course, you also experience very busy work days, and I think you are somebody who still wants to maintain good nutrition, even on those days, or relatively good nutrition. So do you have some habits or some little tricks, or do you also prepare food beforehand, the day before, or how do you go about it?
It's been a long trial and error process, which again is not fully accomplished, but I indeed found out that many things I was eating were not good for me. We are all different in terms of nutrition. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, and there are too many people on social media promoting extreme diets, which might make sense. I'm thinking about carnivore, keto, or vegan diets. I think these can all make sense over a specific amount of time, just to recover from the damage done before, but it's not a sustainable habit for the rest of your life. So it's going from one extreme to the other, then the pendulum swings back and somewhere it gets stuck in the middle, and then you find your balance. Routines and nutrition are very important. Think about morning routines. That's another big thing on social media now. Everybody promotes his morning routine, and you see all these influencers who take ice baths and do their yoga and meditation and start journaling. I think, hey, that's great. I'm 100% sure this is very positive, but probably 95 to 99% of the world's population cannot implement it. They have job commitments. They need to get up at 5 a.m. so they cannot take their morning sunlight. They don't have the time to take their ice bath. They cannot afford to have a swimming pool in their home. You have to be a little more practical and down to earth in your approach. what I've learned from a friend is the best morning routine starts the night before. It's all about winding down at night, but without alcohol. It's more than by drinking green tea, maybe journaling, turning down TVs and phones before you go to bed, doing some light stretching or yoga, and go to bed early. I go to bed around 10 p.m., 10:30, and I sleep generally, if I don't have an early flight to take, I try to sleep till 7, which is quite long, but I really need that to recover.
Yes. I think, first of all, I think it's a great takeaway. I think designing your evenings that way that they are restful and they set you up for a great night's sleep is incredibly important, because some people manage to design their lives in a way where they don't need a lot of sleep and they are still they still feel refreshed. But I think if you need the sleep, then definitely take it, because sleep is one of the most restorative things that you can do for yourself. And also the quality of your sleep is crucial, which is, for example, why it's so important to not, if possible, not stare onto screens until you go to bed, but maybe read a book, or do something different that also is not work related, so your brain can really notice that, okay, we can relax now. Work is definitely has been done hours ago, in the best case. So yeah, I think that's absolutely great.
Yes, sleep is absolutely critical. If I sleep well enough, also you need to know alcohol disrupts sleep. You don't notice really, but you wake up in the middle of the night, and you're not as energized in the morning. So I've stopped drinking alcohol for dinner. It's definitely a big step forward.
Yes.
The diet itself should be healthy, but again, everyone has to find his own diet which fits. I don't believe in extreme diets at all. As far as I'm concerned, I like to have a good breakfast. I can delay it if I have time to exercise a little bit in the morning. I'll have something like a cheese omelette afterwards. And I've noticed that carbs in the morning aren't good at all. I mean, it's also maybe related to the fact that I have some mild ADHD. So having carbs in the morning gives me cravings and brain fog at work, even a couple hours after breakfast. Whereas if I have an omelette, I can go on till lunchtime easily. And then I try to balance between some healthy kind of meat, and if I cannot buy healthy, good quality meat, which is expensive and hard to find, then I don't mind going to vegetarian options like tofu.
Yes.
The most important thing is to have as many unprocessed foods as possible. And if your ingredients list contain really things you cannot even pronounce, then you should be suspicious.
Yes.